ChatGPT Plus is free for college students through May. Here's the thing. You've got a lot to do between now and then. Studying for finals, writing papers, trying to keep your life on track, and ChatGPT can help with all of it. It can quiz you for your econ exam, make a study guide from your French notes, plan out your meals and study breaks. It can get really specific on how you like to learn. It can even help you come up with ways to stop procrastinating. So from now until summer break, take advantage of all the ways ChatGPT can make your life easier. Restrictions apply.
Joining me now is a patriot who I have really come to appreciate, a man of great courage and extraordinary knowledge, Kash Patel, who served as acting director of the U.S. Department of Defense, also was the senior counsel to the House Intelligence Committee when Adam Schiff maneuvered me into a technical violation where I did make misstatements under oath, but none of those misstatements were material, nor did they hide any underlying crime. Well, because there was no Russian collusion hoax, folks, nor was there any collaboration with WikiLeaks. Actually, Robert Mueller admitted that in his final report. The problem was the Department of Justice sought to hide that from my defense attorneys and from the American people. It was only when a federal judge ordered that the DOJ must release his entire unredacted report, we found out that even Robert Mueller and his thugs could not sugarcoat the fact that they had found, in my case, no Russian collusion, no WikiLeaks collaboration, and for that matter, no other crime. According to the Associated Press and Reuters, Kash Patel is under consideration for a number of potential positions within the new Trump administration. He has been a stalwart supporter and advocate for one of our greatest presidents, our 45th and soon 47th president, Kash Patel. Thank you so much for joining us today on The Roger Stone Show.
Roger, it's always great to be with you. Thank you.
So first I have to get your reaction to the election because, look, I'm a political junkie. I admit it. This is what I do. I really don't know how to do anything else. I mean, I might be, working in an Italian restaurant cooking if I wasn't doing this, but that's about all I know how to do. You're a man of many talents, and you've served your country extraordinarily well in a number of capacities. And I was happy to read here in Reuters, actually, that you are among those that the president is considering for a number of appointments. And I understand that it's better for both of us not to be too specific, because I know that you'll take any position the president might ask you to serve the American people. But your reaction to what happened on election night?
Yeah, well, it's always very humbling to be a very, 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 very small part of President Trump's monumental success. And I'm not the political acumen expert, but I am, the national security defense intelligence guy. And I did travel the country for President Trump on a Team Trump bus tour and a lot of surrogate events and rallies. And what I saw was a president combine in a situation, the prioritization of both the economy and also national security. People wanted a secure border. People wanted safe streets. People wanted their children to go to school and where parents were in charge. People wanted our sons and daughters to not die in another man's war. People wanted peace, and that's why they elected Donald Trump so overwhelmingly. Plus, people wanted to be able to afford America again. And I think those two things were on such a high priority list for President Trump, and that's why you saw the results you saw.
It really was stunning. First of all, I was shocked that Kamala Harris's closing message seemed to be quite simply, well, Trump is Hitler, and his supporters, including anyone out there who may be thinking of voting for him, you're all Nazis. Not a very uplifting, inspiring message. Whereas Donald Trump, I think, laid out quite specifically his plan to restore the country's greatness, starting with lower energy prices, returning to the exploration and drilling for both gas and oil. I think in the end, he's going to figure out that nuclear has an important part to play as well. But he always understood that that was the cornerstone to bringing back the economy. And I have high hopes that we're heading into a golden age here. In your specific area of expertise, intelligence and national security, What do you think the first steps that the new administration should take should be?
I think President Trump has has outlined them. So, in my opinion, I would say please follow what President Trump has put out in his Agenda 47. And he's made it a very simple task to reestablish the national security of this country and the world. Let's prioritize the collection of intelligence so that we can protect ourselves and our allies. Let's focus on terrorism. Let's focus on our adversaries. Let's focus on those that are doing harm to American and American citizens. And let's focus on how we get our hostages home and how we end the forever wars. Let's also give the tools that the Department of Defense and other agencies and departments need that are on the no-fail mission. And let's not focus on DEI, white rage, and climate change. These are very simple things that the American public responded to, along with let's eliminate the two-tier system of justice. Let's take politics out of the FBI and DOJ, and let's return a constitutional singular form of government in court and in our courthouses and in our courts of justice. And that's what President Trump exposed the liberal hypocrisy. As you said, when they came for him with hate and vitriol at the end, he simply said, hey, I'm here to unify it all. I've got Elon Musk, RFK, Tulsi Gabbard, and so many others over here, not because I'm paying them to show up, because they believe in President Trump's mission of unity. And at the end of the day, Americans always vote for unity. They don't vote for hate and vitriol. And that's why President Trump shines so brightly.
I agree with all of that. I was pleased yesterday to see that the president put up a post in which he said that while he appreciated their previous service to the country, he would not be putting former CIA Director and Secretary of State Mike Pompeo or former UN Ambassador Nikki Haley in the new administration. This is what President Nixon used to call spent volcanoes. I think, and that he took that from Disraeli. I think he's looking for an all-new team. And candidly, he's a much wiser man than he was. Look, he was a great president in his first term. You can see the results, the most robust economy in American history. No, not only did he not start any new foreign wars, but as you know, he brought tens of thousands of our troops back from the Middle East without the countries they were leaving collapsing into the hands of our enemies when they left. He ironically, as you point out, he was the peace candidate in this election. The Democrats used to be the party of peace. We were supporters, for example, of the Vietnam War. That's because we had been lied to by the generals and by the deep state. So at the time, we didn't have all of the facts. It was Richard Nixon who ended that war on a faster timetable than our Pentagon wanted. One of the key factors, I believe, in his removal in a silent coup. We've seen now declassified CIA documents that prove to us the CIA knew about the Watergate break-in advance and had infiltrated the burglar team. We're not here to talk about Watergate, but we are here to talk about the future. Before we go to break, the Biden administration reversed President Trump's sanctions against Iran, sanctions that brought them to the brink of bankruptcy. And then they gave them more than $190 billion in what were frozen assets, which the Iranians only used to finance Hamas and Hezbollah and restart their nuclear weapons defense program. Do you see the president immediately reinstating those sanctions?
I think President Trump will take on, in my opinion, Iran as a dual threat that they are. Iran can never have a nuclear weapon, which is what the Biden and Harris administration allowed them to get close to, if not already accomplished. And Iran can no longer be the world's largest state sponsor of terrorism and fund World War III into Israel and other locations and hold American hostages. President Trump's policy to Iran was full steam ahead across the board, not just sanctions, but call our allies and say, hey, if you're trading with Iran, then you're not trading with America. We need peace and stability, and Iran is responsible for more casualties of United States military soldiers than any one singular nation. So we need to make sure that there is a policy in place, and thank God we have President Trump, who's going to not just implement sanctions, but also utilize the prowess of the commander-in-chief's seat to say, hey, it's a new world order, and we need to work together to make sure Iran doesn't launch another world war and our hostages come home.
All right, folks, if you're just tuning in, we're talking to Kash Patel, a man who served his country in a number of positions. He's got a lot more to tell us. He's going to tell us about his book, Government Gangsters. This book is indispensable, folks. He's going to tell us where to get it. So don't touch that dial, because we'll be right back with more of Kash Patel.
This is the Roger Stone Show.
I already love same-day delivery with Shipt, but it's so much better since I signed up for Target's Circle 360. Why? Because I no longer pay price markups from the majority of stores through Shipt. Only a handful of alcohol retailers and items don't count. That means no markups on groceries, pet food, even home goods and makeup. So to recap, I have more time to catch up on life while someone shops for me, and I spend less. It's a win-win. Order now at shipt.com/360. Terms apply.
Fellas, you know Degree Cool Rush deodorant, right? Well, last year they changed the formula, and guys were mad about it. One dude even started a petition. So guess what? Degree heard us, admitted they messed up, and brought the original Cool Rush scent back exactly how it was. And it's in Walmart, Target, and other stores now for under $4. So grab some and remember why its cool, crisp, and fresh scent made it the #1 men's antiperspirant for the last decade. Degree Cool Rush is back, and it smells like victory for all of us.
Hey besties, listen up. I have a secret to tell you. LinkedIn now has improved the job search experience for nurses. Search by your specialty, the shifts you want to work, and the salary that you want to make. With so many employers hiring on LinkedIn, finding the perfect job is even more simplified. So don't spend months searching. Go to linkedin.com/nurses and find out why in the past year, more than 1.5 million nurses have used LinkedIn to search for their next role. That's linkedin.com/nurses.
Hank's the family fixer, always with his tool belt. But living with prostate cancer, he needed help. He asked his doctor about Xtandi enzalutamide. Xtandi 40 milligram tablets treats men with prostate cancer that has spread to other parts of the body and responds to a medical or surgical treatment to lower testosterone. Xtandi may cause serious side effects: seizure, a brain condition called PRESS, allergic reactions, heart disease that can lead to death, falls and bone fractures, swallowing problems, or choking that can lead to death. Stop Xtandi and get medical help at once if your face, tongue, lip, or throat start swelling. Tell your doctor at once if you faint, have a seizure, quickly worsening headache, decreased alertness, confusion, vision problems, chest pain or discomfort, or shortness of breath. Xtandi can cause harm to an unborn baby or miscarriage. Use birth control during and 3 months after Xtandi. Common side effects include muscle and joint pain, feeling unusually tired, hot flashes, constipation, less appetite, diarrhea, high blood pressure, bleeding, falls, fractures, and headache. Talk to your doctor and visit Xtandi.com.
Richard Nixon, Ronald Reagan, George W. Bush, and Donald Trump.
They went after a guy named Roger Stone, who's sitting in the office. And I'll say this in front of Roger, he's no baby. And right now, he's cleaner than anybody in this place. No, they treated him very unfairly.
All of these presidents relied on one man to secure their seat in the Oval Office. That man is Roger Stone.
Roger Stone.
This is the Roger Stone Show, presented by Colonial Metals Group. Now, here's Roger Stone.
And we're back, folks. Our guest, Kash Patel, who has served this country in a number of high-ranking staff roles in both the defense and intelligence communities. I met him first when he was chief counsel of the House Intelligence Committee under Chairman Devin Nunes, one of the greatest patriots it's ever been my privilege to know, a man who may have started in California. His family was in agriculture. I believe they were dairy farmers, but spent a long time in Washington, but never joined the swamp. Remembered where he came from and who he represented. A real patriot, and a man who has done an amazing job at True Social, where I am very proud of my profile and know it's a great place to communicate with other patriots, and every once in a while a demented liberal who wants to attack you, but we'll put them aside for the time being. Kash, you served on Capitol Hill as counsel to Devin Nunes. I'd like to ask you, do you think that now that we have, if we have, and when the smoke clears, a more durable Republican majority, which I think we're going to have, Do you think that Speaker Johnson should appoint a committee to investigate the January 6th committee investigation into January 6th?
You know, having led one of the most consequential investigations in Congress in modern history that actually delivered the oversight that the American people believed, I don't know what you would call it, but I think that there needs to be a commission for a lot of stuff. And I know that's not the name you give it, but there were a lot of things, not just at the January 6th Commission, which, you know, I was one of the first subpoenas issued, but they withheld evidence of innocence. They withheld my transcript. They withheld the Nancy Pelosi video where she took responsibility for the security failures of January 6th, and that's not what our congressional leaders are supposed to be doing. You know, I would hope that we see a dawn of a new day where Congress actually delivers the documents that the American people need to see, not with redactions. And that's what the transparency is all about. And I think President Trump has spoken to it. And I think if you join forces with Congress from the executive branch, you can have the most incredible period of transparency where you earn the American people's trust again in your agencies and departments and Congress. It's the only way, in my opinion, we're going to get it all back. And we've got a shot.
You know, Kash, when you were fulfilling your responsibilities as the counsel to the House Intelligence Committee, we learned that a co-equal branch of government was actually spying on you.
Yeah, that's right.
That's hard. That's hard to grasp for I think the average citizen. You've written an incredible book, Government Gangsters. The government, since you held a position, the government had to clear certain portions of that book. They tried to hold you up. They didn't in the end. It's an amazing book. It really will take your breath away, folks. Tell us about the book and tell folks where they can get it.
Oh, I appreciate it. It's still a bestseller, and President Trump was kind enough to help me launch it a year ago and called it the roadmap for 2024 and, the blueprint on how we take out the corruption in Washington, D.C. That's what it is. It's what was successful in the Trump administration. It's what happened in Russiagate. It's how FBI and DOJ lied to federal judges, how they politicized the Intelligence Committee, and how they weaponized forms of justice to achieve political ends and attack people with the Constitution unconstitutionally. But the good news is there's solutions in that book, Government Gangsters, for every agency and department, including some of the things we just talked about. And you can get it at governmentgangsters.com or on Amazon or really wherever books are sold. But I think hopefully some of those ideas are implemented by the upcoming Congress and by the upcoming administration. But it's a great way, roadmap forward. Let's take out politics. Let's restore our national security mission. Let's restore law enforcement so folks aren't raided during their worship time in their houses of worship and where their kids go to school.
Folks, this book is indispensable if you want to understand what's going on these last few years, how horrific it is, and the incredible problem that Donald Trump has to solve. I highly recommend governmentgangsters.com. Go check it out. I suggest you buy it there instead of going to Amazon because, well, why give money to a multinational corporation that hates your guts, right? But please check it out. Here's a question for you, Kash. It's a little out of left field, but a lot of listeners in South Florida, because we're nationwide here in the Roger Stone Show. We now know for a certainty that the Chinese have set up a sophisticated spying operation on the island of Cuba, a mere 90 miles from our shore. Some military experts that both you and I respect tell me that there's a high probability that they also have installed missiles on Cuba, that those missiles may be defensive in nature, but that could be easily converted to being offensive missiles. What do you think's going on in Cuba right now vis-a-vis the communist Chinese? And secondarily, I know you don't speak for the president, and we don't claim that you do, but what do you think the president's policy towards Cuba will be?
Well, Cuba, in my opinion, is an example of many of our adversaries getting together and saying, how can we go about attacking in a specific way the United States of America? The CCP got in on it, the Iranians got in on it, the Russians got in on it, the drug traffickers got in on it, the sex slave traffickers got in on it, and they all combined forces along with the terrorists. And we had the invasion in the border, and we've got 50 known terrorist affiliates in the United States currently that we can't find, and along with lots of criminals. And it's no different in Cuba. So what Russia did was they went there and said, or the Chinese did was, hey, they're so close to America, let's utilize our relationship with the Cuban government to effectuate intelligence collection operations and other offensive operations and capabilities there. So I think the way you guard against that is what President Trump did in the first administration. You prioritize collecting intelligence against people who wish to do harm to American and American citizens. And then you go about on the global stage with the WASP that only President Trump can have and issue diplomatic engagements to sit down with the Putins and the Xi Jinpings of the world and say, no, 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 not here, not again, not ever again, not on my watch. Because they knew they could get away with it with Biden and Harris, and that's why they all wanted Biden and Harris to win. But look what's happened since President Trump was just elected. Qatar kicked out Hamas. Zelensky's looking for a way to end the war in the Ukraine. And so many other great things in less than a week, and Trump isn't even back in office. That's the WASP that he has, the president-elect, because he accomplished it when he was the 45th president. I think he's going to do it again.
Yeah, our adversaries respect only strength. They don't respect weakness. Weakness provokes aggression. This is why Ronald Reagan was such a great president. This is why Donald Trump was such a great president, because they didn't quite know what he would do. When he told them, you go into Ukraine, Mr. Putin, and we will go after you. Well, they didn't know whether he would really attack Moscow or not. But if Donald Trump told me if there was a 10% chance, well, it kept them from invading Ukraine. He told the same thing to Chairman Xi. No, you're not going to touch Taiwan, because if we do, we will attack you. And the chairman said through an interpreter, you will not do that. And Donald Trump said, really? Don't try me. Kash Patel, a great American. You can grab his book, governmentgangsters.com. It's indispensable. Thank you so much for joining the show. And Kash, I really hope that President Trump selects you for a high-level post so you can go back to serving this country so ably as you have done in the past.
Thank you, my friend. Have a great day, Roger.